Hi, my name is Ginger Annis, Veteran Service Officer for Alexander County. Did you know there are approximately 850 World War II servicemen and women passing away each day? Each of these service personnel have a story about friendships, families, experiences, and achievements. The Veterans Service Office, in cooperation with the Alexander County Government Channel, will be hosting, in a series, several short stories shared by these courageous veterans. So sit back and enjoy our history, our heroes.
Good morning. My name is Matt Law. I'm a cadet with the Alexander Central NJROTC. I'm a cadet lieutenant junior grade as an operations officer. And today I'm interviewing Mr. Earl Bostain. He's a local veteran of Alexander County. And Mr. Bostain, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm 85 years old. My birth date's 9/7/26, and I live down south of Taylorsville, 7 miles, and I'm married to May Blair Bostain, and I got married in 1945 during my service. I was in service, and I went into the service. I was 18 years old on September the 7th, 1944, and by December the 14th, I left Alexander County going to Camp Croft, South Carolina, inducted into the Army there. And came from Camp Croft, I came back to Fort Bragg, and then from there I went to Camp Blanding, Florida, where I took 13 weeks of basic training, and came back, got a 15-day leave, and it was getting pretty hot down there. In April, I came back, I got this furlough, and we came back through one day that Franklin D. Roosevelt died. So we came back on the train through the little town that he was at, that he died in. And I spent 15 days at home and reported back to Fort Meade, Maryland, and took some training there. Then they shipped us to Vancouver Barracks, Washington, and we done a little training there, and then they loaded us on the ship and went under the Golden Gate, and we was all singing the Golden Gate in 48. So we went to Okinawa, not Okinawa, but Hawaii, and we done some heavy training there. We trained with the flamethrower and the heavy weapon guns, and then they loaded us on a ship. From there, we went on the way to Okinawa, and we got into a typhoon on the way over, and we were in it for about 7 days. We run out of fresh water, had to take showers in salt water, and the seas were so rough that the ship would go up, hit a wave, and come back down. It'd crack. We were scared, us Army boys. We thought it was going to break in two. And when you went to the mess to eat, you had to hold to the table, hold your plate with one hand, and in the coffee cup, they would usually go off on the floor. But that's the way we had to eat, is hold the plate with our hand and eat, and it was so rough. And about everybody on the ship got sick, mostly the Army boys. They wasn't used to riding. And the bunks was decked about 7 high in the bottom of that boat, and the one that was on top, he had to climb a ladder to get up there, but the one that was on the bottom, it caught the rough part when they was sick. And so we got out of that storm and went into Okinawa, and we went down the rope and got into the landing boats and went ashore. But luckily, we got there. It was pretty well secure, the island was, the time we got there. but it was still a lot of Japanese. They wouldn't, after they dropped the bomb, they wouldn't believe that the war was over. They still held out in the caves and down on the cliffs, and it was our job to go and round them up and get them out. We had to take loudspeakers on a truck and go around and call them out. Well, it was something kind of odd about it. Every time somebody come out, it'd be about 6 or 7 soldiers, Japanese soldiers in a bunch, and it would be a young Korean girl with them. And later on in life, I found out why that was. They had captured these girls in Korea and sent them over there for the recreation of the soldiers. And we stayed there. I really went in as a replacement. We lost so many men there that I felt guilty of going in and not receiving any fire back because we'd lost so many men. But I went in as a replacement. That's what they sent me for. And we stayed there we was on the tip end of the Isle of Okinawa when they dropped the atomic bomb, and we celebrated pretty much that night. And so we stayed on the Isle for, I think it was about September, and they loaded us on a boat and took us to Korea. And we was there to displace the Japanese and send them back to Japan. And it was quite a few of them there. And we went into Incheon there in Korea. And we went into Seoul, Korea. As we was going in, we marched in with all of our equipment on our back and rifles. As we was going through the street, these Japanese soldiers they was lined on the street, just maybe 25 feet apart. And we noticed that they had their backs to us as we was walking down, and they was, I guess, ashamed that they had lost. And then, but we rounded them, guys, Japanese up on Korea and sent them back, and so we stayed there for. I got to leave and come home. It was 30-day leave, come home. I thought maybe I'd get to go to somewhere else. They wouldn't send me back to Korea, but they put me on a boat and sent me right back to the same place, and that didn't make me too happy. But I spent about 18 months there, then I got out of the service in July of 1947. Came home, and I worked in the furniture factory for Century Furniture Company for about 40 years, and I lived down on, I told you while I lived down on 16 south of Taylorsville. I go to Friendship Lutheran Church. I belong to the DAV, Chapter 84 here in Alexander County. It's a real, very good outfit to be in. They're very active. They do a lot of military funerals for veterans that dies, and we have a fundraising breakfast every first Saturday in each month, and the money that we get, we build ramps for veterans that needs a ramp, or take them to Salisbury if they need to go down there to the VA hospital, and that's about all I got.
Mr. Bostain, when y'all were on leave, what did y'all do for fun?
Well, I did get to go to, while I was in Korea, I got a 15-day leave to Japan. And they took us to a big hotel over there and fed us some good food. I got to see where they dropped one of the atomic bombs there, Hiroshima, on our way into Osaka. That's where the town that we went to. And it was really heartbreaking to see that. The big steel buildings, the big beams, they just melted till they just melted and went plumb to the ground. And nothing to growing around there. There wasn't nothing green around there. And So that was part of our recreation. That's what they called it, R&R, rest and recreation. That's about all. I left July of 1947. I came back to Camp Stoneman, California, and I got my discharge there and came home, and I've been in Alexander County ever since.
Did faith ever play a part in your coping of the war?
Yes, very much. And I know that my mother was praying for me every day.
It's good to have people back here that care for you.
Yeah.
And that kind of helps you push through.
Yeah, it sure did. Well, you know, when somebody's pulling for you, you feel better about that. I think a lot about the Vietnam veterans. They came back and they got spit on and everything else, and that wasn't right. We got good welcomes when we came back. That's about all, unless you got something you want to ask me.
Were you drafted or did you volunteer?
I was drafted. Yep.
What would you say to the youth in the county that want to join the military?
I would say go for it. I think it's good for every young person to go to the military. Of course, they don't get the hard training that we got when we went in, but it make a man out of you pretty quick.
Really hardcore compared to what we have nowadays. When you were,
it's much more. Yeah, I think it's much more harder. If they get too hard on them now, they call mama and they go down to call their congressman up and tell those sergeants to let up on them.
When you were in Okinawa, were you ever under attack, or did you ever get attacked?
No, never was under fire, but we had, it was still snipers there, and it was still dead bodies there. We saw dead Japanese bodies, but we were very careful. The Japanese had got so hungry, they'd try to slip in our mess halls of a night and steal food, and we had to stay on guard for that.
Wow. Do you have any photos of you in uniform during service?
Do what?
Do you have any photos of you in uniform?
Brothers?
And brothers too?
Oh, I had 4 brothers, 3 brothers and 2 brother-in-laws in that World War II, Korea. My one brother was in Korea, and the other one went to Germany, the youngest one.
Do you have any like photos or keepsakes you have from the war?
I've got tell me that again.
Do you have any photos?
Oh, yeah, I have a few, but not very many.
Okay.
Never did take very many photos.
You don't have any. Do you have any grandchildren that you like to share this story?
I don't have any children.
Oh. Do you like to tell your stories to different people around the county and the community?
Well, I'm a little bit hesitant to tell my story because there's so many heroes out there that died, and I didn't have to go. I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to fight. They fought, and I just don't like to talk about it unless somebody asks me about it. But I done what I was called to do. We were really went in for replacements. We was training to go to Japan, hit the country of Japan, and they claimed that would have been one of the deadliest battles in World War II. Would have lost the most people.
Wow. What was your occupation before your service?
I was a farm boy most of my life. I had started working in a furniture shop in Conover a while before I was drafted, but I lived on a farm all my life, young days.
Do you feel like you were humbled as a soldier because you were over there, and you come back and you see people that you've grown up with around you, and they've changed differently?
Well, yes, somewhat, yeah.
Mr. Boston, before we close up, do you have anything to say around the county for our veterans?
Yes, I would like to say I would like for everyone in this county to support all of our veteran organizations, plus the veterans that went and fought for us and came back. Welcome and tell them you appreciate what they done. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be sitting here today, because it was a rough battle, and the boys in Korea and Vietnam, tell them how much you appreciate it and make them feel like they served their country well.
Well, we really do appreciate your service around here, Mr. Boston. And for future generations to come, all the same gratitude to them. I believe, me getting ready to join the Marine Corps, I believe it's very humbling to honor a veteran. That way you can stand on this free ground today, because they've sacrificed so much. And we really appreciate your service, Mr. Boston.
Thank you.